hold all power, hold all our wealth, because they control, like they control our rights, they control all our wealth. They can use our money to do whatever they want. In order to overcome them, all of us who are captives must unite and face the problem, all of us together, and advance hand in hand. We must advance hand in hand, all of us face it. And once we do so, nothing will stop us. And we should build that spirit right here. Struggle for freedom is not partisan. You cannot struggle for freedom as, this party, that party. No, we must all be a party of the oppressed against our oppressors. And, here there are many parties, the People's Front for Transition, which as you heard, come from, consists of quite a number of political parties, including representatives, the party that was in power at independence, Uganda People's Congress. And we have one of their leaders here, the Honorable Isha Oto. There he is. The party of independence used to say, everybody, UPC, all of us, UPC, you and me. Yes, it can't work as just UPC. We have here the Justice Forum, JEMA. The Secretary General of JEMA is here, the Honorable Katerega, Hamad Katerega. He stepped out. Yeah. We have people from the Democratic Party. The Honorable Rebecca Mukabu. Seems my voice is a bit of a problem for this. Yes, so I think I must conclude my remarks. Really to reiterate my thanks to the Kenya Human Rights Commission, to the National Unity Platform for creating this space, but that we must come out of here not just lamenting, sympathizing with ourselves and our suffering. This suffering is still more suffering ahead, far more. As I have said, this is the latest wave. When we were in the bush, 5 years we were in the bush with General Muntu, 500,000 people died. 500,000 Ugandans died. And their skulls are now piled in the monuments in the war area. Those are the victims we are talking about. They are littering the whole of our country. So we have no time to lament, to sympathize with ourselves. Yes, we must use this platform to call on the international community to do its role, to stand with the people of Uganda. We don't want them to replace us. Our freedom and our rights is our primary responsibility of the people of Uganda. But But the international community has a duty to stand with us against the oppressors and the abusers of rights in Uganda. And many are still romanticizing with the criminals that lead our country. And we must call them out. We must call them out to stand with the people of Uganda. And this is the platform to do so. So thank you very much. Thank you, Kenya, for leading the way. Thank our brothers and sisters, Martha, in Kenya, for showing the way. You are not out of the woods yet. You are not out of the woods, Kenya's democracy hasn't yet been consolidated. Anything can happen to it. And some dangerous signs are already popping their heads. You heard of a leader who was saying term limits should be removed. Those kinds of voices must be hit on the head at the beginning so that they don't have time to come. So thank you very much, and may God bless all of you. Thank you.
Deputy Secretary General of FDC, I did not know that you have another talent. Okay, as Dr. Bessenger has indicated, this repression has not only been visited upon members of the National Unity Platform, it has also happened This repression has also been visited on members of the Forum for Democratic Change, not least Kamswaga, Simba Moses, Asara Knight, and Fatuma Zainab. Those four are in this room, and before I invite the last two speakers, last two political leaders, I'd like to request those to come up. Kamswaga, Simba Moses, Asara Knight, and Fatuma Zainab.
abajjukira ebyaliwo mu bitundu ebyaliwo omukyala Jaya Salanite omu kwe baakwata ne His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu ebiseera by'akalulu ka Arua nga balonda Kasiano Wadri omukyala ya Salanite omukyala gwe baakuba yamala akaseera kawanvu nnyo mu ddwaliro.
Thank you very much.
Katimuwulirize.
In first place, I would like to thank the Almighty God having brought me here since Monday. I started traveling from Arua, which you know, of course, a new city, the biggest city in the country, where there is no service delivery at the moment. By names, I'm called Asara Knight, a women activist. My mother part is FDC, and I started dying for the struggle to bring peace and freedom in our country since 2026. You may look at me and say, this small woman, yes, and God has created me small for a purpose. My fellow members in this August House, I'm one of the victims who is now up to date on target by the current regime of Uganda. I've been imprisoned more than 20 times, and my movement started in 2006 when I was in P6. Since my life, I was a debater in the primary school up to the secondary. That's why I've become a politician. I like it. And I don't regret why I've remained named for permanent. It's for the reason, you know, always minority fights for the majorities, and we are the one. And not even one person among you here knows how I've arrived here, but it's with God's grace. The first information I want to give in this August house, without fear or favor, we are all leaders. And if we are leaders, we must think about others. Self-interest will always kill our efforts when we are struggling for peace. I've been attacked by the regime of Uganda since 2009, and it's always right to come and fight for the cause in the capital city of Uganda. That's where I involved myself fully, and I found myself in prison for the first time, up to date. And as I'm speaking now, I'm on a target. Nobody will want to know where I am. Nobody will want to know how I'm feeling. Nobody will want to know where is this little woman. I'm very grateful for some leaders, opposition leaders actually. My thanks goes mostly in this August house, and it must be in record for my council Rakafuzi. For Dr. Kizza Besigye, lately Honorable Bob Wine. God should reward you more abundantly, because you always look for where I am. My fellow members in August house, for your information, the doctors have told me I've remained lame for permanent. The worst thing which hurts me most, I may not give birth again, and my husband has divorced me, because what I am, I'm not now a woman. I'm just a woman like a picture, because of the current regime of Uganda. What hurt me most is when there is any peaceful demonstration in Uganda, the first people to be targeted are women. Unfortunately, I would like to pray that the human rights take that into consideration. We are being beaten by men, not women, and that is Uganda Police of Uganda. We are being removed naked, and yet the body of women are supposed to be respected. Without menstruation period, none of you could be in this world. The first thing we do, we should respect the women as the mother of the nation, but with the current regime that is not there. And yet they sleep on the same bed with women, but they don't have respect for women. As a leader, I request respect for humanity in the community and society. My fellow members in August House, human rights should take these issues we are talking about into consideration, as I mentioned before. It is a very serious issue. In 2009 and 10, when we started the movement of women, IPC, they called IPC Women for Peace in Uganda, 300 women were arrested. Out of 300, 10 were beaten up to death. I also pray that May some of my colleagues who have passed on, may they shall rest in peace. As Ugandans, today we are in this house, we are telling the truth. But next week you'll find that maybe we are arrested again, and they have brought this issue of kidnapping you without your family, your members, your colleagues knowing it. And this is a serious matter. Human rights. I was disappointed a little bit, and I'm always, they call me Naru, a point blind woman. When human rights, they like following things when it just newly happened, but after taking your story, you don't know where they are taking your story. And that marks the end of everything. Otherwise, things are not okay. As I've said, as a leader, we should improve in what we are doing. Self-interest, we must avoid it. Personal interest, we must avoid it. As the political activists, opposition activists in Uganda, I pray we must leave sectarianism, tribalism, when we want to take over the power and change the power. Thank you. I know we are still having more time tomorrow. I'll bring other issues into consideration. I beg tomorrow.
Thank you, Asara Knight. Let's have Kamswaga. Sorry, Simbwa Moses, rather. Simbwa Moses. Okay, go ahead. Happy to see all of you.
My
name is Simba Moses.
Nafuna accident battle ya Antonella.
I was deliberately run over by a police patrol vehicle led by one Mujenyi in Jinja district.
But the civilian defense forces, the FDC, and they just FDC.
I'm a foot soldier of the Forum for Democratic Change Party.
Doing activities at Duariko, the campaign.
We were conducting party activities. And that police officer Mujenyi called me and warned me, dissuaded me not to attend.
Nangamba togezaako kujja ne mugamba tolina ngeri gy'osobola kukuŋŋaana kukola kyange kye nsobola okukola. Bwe nagenda patro nali nyimiridde ku mabbali nga ngezaako okuziyiza abaana bali bagenda okufuna obuzibu. Patro nejja nenninnya okugulu kuno kwonna ne bakwasa okuva muno paka wansi. Bwe baamala,
so I did not heed the warning of the police officer who asked me to stay away from the party activity. And while at the party's activities, I was run over by a vehicle which shattered the femoral bone through to the tibia.
Omusirikale omu bwe yandaba nga ngudde wansi n'ava ku patro n'ajja n'anfumita ekigala ky'emmundu mu kisambi.
While I lay on the ground after being run over, a policeman came and stabbed me with a bayonet.
Baganda bange, nze nanyi bwe nsula. Bwe mbalaga ebiwundu bye nnina,
I am in indescribable pain. I have grievous wounds, and they might affect your appetite or ability to eat, but I have to show these wounds to you.
Maze emyaka ebiri nga ndi wansi abadde bakankola operation.
I've spent 2 years in this situation. I just came out of an operation.
Andrew. He was run over by a military police headed by one other than
those are the injuries I sustained and I'm still getting treated for. From the femur, the hip, through to the lower leg.
he was knocked deliberately by
my femoral bone was removed. I need 7 million Uganda shillings to get treated. That's about $2,000.
Nebagamba bagenda kumenya ekigere ekyo kituuke wansi kuba tekituuka wansi n'ebbibi bino tebyeweta.
Complicated surgery has to be done to enable my leg to reach the ground.
Baganda bange nsula bubi nga bwe ndaba.
I am in terrible pain, as you can see.
Nebaza Dr. Kiza Besigye.
I thank Dr. Kiza Besigye.
Webalire ddala. Mwena.
Thank you all Ugandans for standing with me.
Operation nsigaza operation 2 zibaŋŋambye.
I am left with 2 operations, medical procedures to be done.
Egenda okuddamu bagenda kunenya kugulu n'ebbiibi then esembayo bagenda kunoonya ebbumba mu kiwato oba mu kugulu muno bampiitige wano awatali bbumba.
They have to find a bone to enable my foot to reach the ground, but also to enable my knee to bend. Those are the 2 procedures I'm left with.
Manyi muli balwanyi mwena temuggwamu maanyi waffenna tubadde balwanyi naye tubasazawo tukomye naye basigadde musigale nga mwena amaanyi gammwe nga busobola okulwana.
Those of you who can still fight, regardless of what has been done to us, please go ahead and persecute the struggle. Thank you very much. Let's have come swallow.
Members, when I was in the all the leaders of opposition who are telling this, now I'm back in action. Well, I'm called Councillor Moses. I was a leader in youth in Abakyaala of FDC. So, the torture, which is in Uganda, are both physical and psychological. For me, I went all over. You remember very well, I was a leader, I also walked to work. So, when the government observed that I was an obstacle to the regime, they tried several times to persuade me to join them. I said no. Now, what happened? Some of you may think that why Kamswaga's thumb are missing. No, Kamswaga, I'm not a robber. Or I'm not a criminal, but I'm an activist. And I still die as an activist. So in 2011, you remember very well how to work. I've seen my honorable Fuga. You are there, okay. Sir, you remember, some of us, we never even wanted to cry in public. Because we know, the moment I come and speak that, Kamswaga's arm is missing, the other one who is willing and able to fight this regime, Mr. Yoweri Museveni, they will not join. That's why even I told my mom that leave me here, I'm a man of struggle. So, for the time, in 2011, during Walk to Work, you remember how was also obstacle to the regime. I was a reader. So what happened? One of my friends, and you guys, who pretend that you are in the opposition, especially the youth, leave the showpiece. Some of you are just pretenders. The one who called me to tell me that your house was open was my close friend. I think even when I was secondary here, I thought that was two guys. And Mr. Rakafuz, they played a very, very vital role. When the activists are arrested by this junta. Now, that man called me that Kamswaga, I have put your house open. I said, no. How? I'd already taken a week without sleeping there. I went there. I found when they are moving in the street, there was no light. Trying to check on the table. That's when I lost my two phalanges. But still, this regime, they charged me treason and later terrorism, and I was imprisoned. But do you know what happened? To get me taken to the hospital for the surgery, I was supposed to remove all the two phalanges, but the torture that was exhibited at Chireka. They forced me to first sign the statement so that I can get attended to the hospital. So guys, I was in prison for 10 years. And I was released just recently. So, my fellow Ugandans, and I am happy that all our leaders are here. Let us join together as one. Thank you very much.
And finally, Fatuma Zanara.
Thank you very much. My name is Fatuma Abakyaala. I'm a member of Forum for Democratic Change and I'm a leader. In our structure, I'm the Secretary for Environment and Natural Resources. But before that, I'm a Ugandan and I'm a human rights defender. The reason today why I'm here, I'm to give a testimony of what Mr. Museveni has done to Ugandans and especially women. In 2015, we had our party primaries at the FDC. We chose our flag bearer as Dr. Kiza Besigye, and when the roadmap for the campaigns that come out, we hit the road. After hitting the road, we are soliciting for the votes for our candidate. What happens next? As we are heading to Onjiri, the police, the army, and everything of Mr. Museveni decided to arrest us. Arresting who they did a problem, but what they did to us is the problem. As a woman, I'm a mother of 4. I had a husband, I had kids, but right now I have no kids. They didn't die. I lost custody of the kids. My husband did die. He divorced me because of what Mr. Museveni and the colleagues did to us. And today I'm here. I'm so grateful that I was invited. I'm only asking people so that we should unite. Torture didn't start today in 2021. Torture started way back, way back. For me, what I want people to do is we unite. We unite, we fight this Museveni. If we don't unite, today they have tortured, they have undressed Fatuma. I was undressed before the country. Everyone knows how Fatuma's bumps looks like. Everyone knows how Fatuma's breast looks like. But that's not what I want. As a human and as a woman, and more so being a Muslim woman, I know how our body separate, how it is. But with Museveni and his colleagues, they deprived me of that right of having privacy to my body. Not only that, I was arrested, I was beaten, I have scars, I have wounds. Even my former chairperson for women needs, when I go Winnie Kiga, she can testify. Even my former mobilizer Ingrid now, she can testify. And I want to thank Dr. Elizabeth. I want to thank my party for the counseling and for everything. But above all, we should not give up. Despite everything they have done to me as an individual, I was working from Iranian embassy. They made sure that I lost the job, but I'm still pushing on. My mission, my purpose is to see a free Uganda where I can sell my tomatoes in Owino, but with my comfortable. My mission is to see a Uganda where I can express my rights when no one is attacking me, when no one is abusing me. My mission here today is to see a Uganda when we differ in ideology, but we can agree for the Uganda we want. That's my mission. They have done so many things during campaigns in 2021. The RPC of Kabaragala, they came to my house where I rent. They connected with someone, they removed the iron sheets. They brought the newspaper, the media guys, so that they should embarrass me, to make me that I should lose morale. But I've not lost morale, and I'm here to push the agenda, to see a new Uganda. I'm here to push the agenda, to see a Uganda where I can enjoy. You and I can enjoy this Uganda, where we can live in harmony as one Uganda, as one people, as one nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Fatima. Thank you for sharing. Maybe what Kamswaga did not fully say was that a grenade was placed on his bed, and that explosion is what also contributed to the need to have his forearm amputated. So I'd like to call up Juliani to perform Utawala, which means I will not remain sitting while injustices occur.
Yeah, niaje. Buda niaje kwa. Nashukuru sana kwa hapa. Boni told me, I saw online that you guys are here, and then Boni asked me, Boni is a really good friend, akaniambia nikuje niwaone. Nilikuwa nataka kumsalimia hapo, of course, ninaenda. Mimi ndo Juliani, ama good ugoza. Ndo Juliani, ama hip hop artist. Na kama unajua hii iko tuko pamoja, sawa? Sindio? Nikonja hata siezi karanga, uwe hae shagala bagala, niko tayari kulipa gharama, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Ufisadi, ubinafsi, ukabila, kuuza sura wataki kuuza sera, undugu ni kufana, si wala sitasimama maovu yakitawala. Nashukuru sana sana, Mungu awabariki. Asante na Mungu awabariki, tutazidi kuombea. Sio?
Still wanted more. I'd like to invite Honorable Chabola Sentamu
Thank you. People power. Our power. One Uganda. One people. Viva Kenya, viva. Viva Uganda, viva. Viva Africa, viva. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, my brother Giuliani, for that short yet very powerful presentation. We appreciate. Otherwise, whoever put me to speak after Dr. Kizza Besigye, you have to answer for that. Dear Mr. David Malombe, the ED of Kenya Human Rights Commission, Dr. Bernard, the Kenya National Human Rights Commission, Comrade Boniface Mwagi, and your dear wife, Dr. Umona, the one who gave us a moving keynote address, Dr. Kizza Besigye, our friend, our inspiration, our elder, Mama Martha Karua, honored to be in your presence. Dear General Mugisha Muntu, Right Honorable Winnie Kizza, who was my leader of opposition when I was member of parliament between 2017 and 2020. Right Honorable Matthias Mpuga, the leader of opposition, leader of our parliamentary team. Mama Dr. Lina Zedriga, Deputy President, Northern Uganda. Honorable John Mugisha, Deputy President, Western Uganda. Comrade David Lewis Ugongoya. Honorable members of parliament, fellow leaders, friends, fellow Ugandans, brothers and sisters from Kenya, fellow Africans, I salute you today. I am very, very grateful for your presence and to thank many of you that have come from Uganda. It has not been very easy to be here. I appreciate your presence. Fellow East Africans, the Kenyans, our brothers and sisters that have always looked out for us. Thank you very much for coming. I want to give respect to our elders, the likes of Imam Kasozi, who we've watched over time, the likes of General Shamuntu, and in a very special way, Dr. Kizza Besigye. We salute you for showing us the way and continuing to stand and do. I'll remind you, Dr. Besigye, and you briefly talked about it, that you are the person that challenged me and many other people in my generation to rise to the occasion. It was that visit when I visited you in prison that you told me were looking in my eyes that you were a successful doctor during their mean times. But because nobody was safe until everybody was safe, you got into the trenches where you still are today. I want you to know, sir, that we hold you in very high regard. We respect you, we love you, and we are with you. To the Kenyans, I personally got moved and shaken to awakeness when I was in military prison, 2018. I was supposed to die. You saw a lady here, that is the mother of my driver, Yasin Kauma, who was shot, thinking they had shot me, and he died. I was in prison, and it was going to go down like any other abduction. But thanks to the brothers and sisters in Kenya, you started massive protests, which protests spread to the entire world. That is the reason why I'm still alive today. And friends, it did not just start with me. You Kenyans have stood with us from way back in the 60s, in the 70s, when General Museveni and many of his colleagues were fighting against the Obote dictatorship. You housed them, you supported them, you accommodated them. You have not stopped. Even today, you are still with us. Friends, we don't take that for granted. Please don't stop. Continue being our brothers, and we will be your brothers as well. Now, the November massacres. You all know that this is a Ugandan issue, and we should be holding this conference in Uganda. It's very unfortunate that we cannot be in Uganda. We cannot mourn our people in Uganda. We cannot talk about issues of human rights in Uganda. That is the sad reality we find ourselves in today. While we are here demanding accountability and focusing on the November massacres, somebody has said it that they did not start, the massacres and the extrajudicial killings by the Museveni regime did not start today, did not start with 2021. It has been happening, including the massacre that took place in Kasese in November 2016, where more than 200 people, including women and children, were killed. Many of them were tied hands at the back and shot dead. It continues. The November massacre is just a big symptom of a long-sitting sickness, a sickness called Musevenism in Uganda. So while we are here, ladies and gentlemen, we should look at all the... while I speak to you right now, one of my bodyguards, called Jamshid Kakuma, has been missing for 13 days today. He was picked by security, by soldiers in Uganda military uniform, and of course others with no uniform. It was captured on camera. Like many others, we have not seen him again. We don't know whether he's alive or dead. That is where we are today, ladies and gentlemen. Among the victims that have spoken, and many that have not spoken, they have dark, dark stories. In this room today, in this room, we have ladies who were raped by Ugandan soldiers and security personnel. In this room. In this room, we have a young man who was castrated like a goat. In this room. Many times, we keep such dark stories to ourselves. But many of them are in this room. He had asked me to call him out so that you people understand that we are actually not making up this. I don't know if you still want to raise your hand, my brother. But in this very room, you can stand from there. That brother is called Magese, was castrated. In this room here, we have men that have been raped, men that have been sodomized by the Museveni regime. That is where we are. And very painfully, we cannot talk about such in our own home. We are here demanding for human rights. But in our case, in Uganda, I will break it down. We are demanding for the right to be human beings. To be human beings and be treated as such. I was in Europe a few days ago, and they're demanding for different luxurious rights, animal rights, etc., etc. We are yearning for rights to be human beings. Rights for which more than 500,000 of our mothers, fathers, and relatives were killed with a promise of a return for the rule of law, return for respect for human rights, and the same. So we are here today, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with heavy hearts, hearts that have been mocked. I mean, when they take you to those dungeons in the chieftaincy for military intelligence, CMI, those guys that torture will first tell you, here, we don't believe in human rights. We don't know human rights, we only know human lefts. Yeah, it would be funny if it was not sad. But that's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. You all saw, and Andrew was kidding about it, that General Museveni came out and said, yeah, Bobby Wine was beaten very properly. That is a person that some people in East Africa call the father of the region. Maybe they're right. The father of impunity, the father of dictatorship, the father of lawlessness. That's General Museveni. It will be noted that some of the torture is actually supervised by the Crown Prince of Uganda, General Museveni's son, Muhoozi Kainerugaba. Many of you saw a prolific writer, Kakwenza Mukirabasajja, who is now living in exile in Europe. He mentioned it, that he was tortured and cut and beaten under the supervision of General Muhoozi Museveni's son. That's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. We can go on and on and on about the pain in Uganda, but Dr. Besigye guided, and I agree with him, that we are not here to lament. But now that we are here, and Kamaswaga talked about it, he got very inspired, very motivated that he sees all the leaders, well, not all of us, but at least those that are still, and underline the word still, standing with the people of Uganda. We are here. Now that we are here, we are one. Now that we are here, what next? This is a question that many of our people want to ask. What next? For starters, we need to realize that we are being reduced slowly by slowly. Back when Dr. Kiza Besigye was inspiring us to get into leadership, he opened our eyes and tasked us to open many eyes. We went ahead and opened millions of eyes. And maybe that's why the impunity went a notch higher. But now that we are here, and we know that millions of eyes are open back home and all over East Africa, what next? So much can be said. This conference alone cannot be enough. But at least if there's anything to get from this conference, let it flash a light where we are coming from, and that light will bounce back and show us where we're going, because the farther back you look is the farther in front you will see. The Honorable Matthias Mpuga talked about, reminded us about the Moshi conference. I mean, during the Amin days, it was so tough that they could not meet in Uganda, they had to meet in Tanzania. A few years ago, still under Museveni, we would meet in Uganda. Now we can no longer meet in Uganda. We are meeting here in Kenya. How sure are we that next year, because Dr. Besigye wants us to meet in Uganda, but how sure are we that next year we will still be able to meet here in Kenya? We might have to meet a little further, maybe in Zambia, or even in Europe, if we just sit and do nothing. In my view, ladies and gentlemen, it's important to look back and know that there's nothing as important to us as unity. Just our people seeing us together before we even do anything. That's motivation alone for them. Of course, that's just a starting point. So much we can do, but the first step is coming together. On the 24th up to 26th of March 1979, Ugandans met in Tanzania in the Mosh Conference. Among those leaders was Obote. He had a group he was leading. There was, who else? There was John Balije. He had a group that he was leading. There was Yoweri Museveni. He had a group that he was leading. And there was a gentleman called Pojok. He also had a group that he was leading. It's unfortunate that just after the Mosh Conference, they went back home and they got reduced to their own groupings. They got divided, they got united. And yes, with that unity, they were able to remove the Amin dictatorship. Unity put an end to the Amin regime. But they did not notice that that unity had to go even a little bit deeper. They went back home, they got divided. Each one retreated to their own small grouping. And that's part of the reason why we are here. I pray that that gives us time, because 43 years later, this is probably one of the likes of the Mosh Conference. But if there's anything to gain from here, is the unity. So that when we go back home, we don't look at this as another, meet up and taking pictures, and that's the end of it. But let it be the glue that binds us. And let it also be a testament to our Kenyan brothers and sisters that have stood for and with us to stick together, to not retreat in our small groupings, to not identify ourselves as NUP, as FDC, as JEMA, etc., etc. Because we are living under a dictatorship, friends. I'm speaking, and yet I need a party. But I'll tell you that realistically, there are no political parties in Uganda. You cannot claim to be a political party when you cannot even organize, when you cannot even carry out party activities. Yes, we find ourselves fighting within the opposition. But a deep thinker will shock you to tell you that you cannot claim to have an opposition in Uganda. There's no opposition and there's no government. There's just one group of oppressors oppressing all of us. Only that the oppressors have proved a little smarter. They are more united than we, the oppressed. They are united in their impunity. So it's important, ladies and gentlemen, that we look at that unity, build on it, and that unity will benefit Ugandans. When we come together, it's for the benefit. These people, these torture survivors that have been here, they are, in my view, a representation of Ugandans. None of these victims was running for any position of office. No, they were supporting us. That's what they faced. And like David Lewis has mentioned it, these are just the few cases that we can show. Otherwise, many of them are even too threatened, they are too scared to even speak out. So now that we are here, ladies and gentlemen, let's capitalize on that unity. Let's build on that unity. Fellow leaders, let us put country before self, like General Muntu always guides us. Our country should be bigger than us, and the pain of our people, if there's nothing, that should unite us, ladies and gentlemen. As I conclude, I want to ask us to stick to the values and not sell out. I'll say that again. Let us stick to the values and not sell out. Besides using violence, General Museveni balance our people. You've seen leaders that once upon a time respected selling out. So the pain of our people should guide us to know that a lot of sacrifice has been made. And let us just return the favor by standing by those values for which we convince them to get into that trouble, and they are still standing. Let me ask all of us to major on majors. Our major focus and fight is freedom. We should fight to be free. Otherwise, we will not be different from prisoners that are fighting for who is going to be the one serving both the posho and the porridge. Let us fight and free ourselves from this prison called Uganda and go into a new Uganda where all of us are going to be free and equal before and under the law. To our Kenyan brothers and friends, we thank you. To the Kenyan leaders, and yes, also the citizens, please resist Museveni and Musevenism. I say it again, please Kenyans, refuse and resist Musevenism. You have seen, and we told you, and we are continuing to see. We want to be able to come and say these things from a neighboring country. And this kind of freedom, I mean, Kenya, you're certainly not where you want to be, but you are where many of us dream to reach. Please keep this, guard it and guard it very, very jealously. Because once you lose it, you will spend generations trying to get it. To the media, Kenyan media, please keep shining a light on our plight. While we appreciate the Ugandan media, you'll agree with me that it has largely been silenced. We depend so much on social media, and as you know, Facebook is banned in Uganda. Why? Because General Museveni doesn't like it. So, for the media, please keep highlighting our plight. Show the world what is going on in Uganda. That is helpful a great deal. Many of us are still alive because of that weapon called the camera. It is very, very powerful. Please, mutubere. That's a slang back in the ghetto. That means, watch us, don't take your eyes off us. Please. And finally, to the international community, we use every opportunity to call up the international community, and I want to do the same right now. You are the people that are propping up monsters in Africa. Idi Amin was supported by you majorly until you got tired of him. Mugabe was supported by you until you got tired of him. My question is, haven't you gotten tired of Museveni yet? When Mugabe did to the people of Zimbabwe what Museveni is doing to the people of Uganda, you sanctioned him. When Taylor did the same, you sanctioned him. When Saddam did the same, you sanctioned him. Why are you still hobnobbing with the dictator called Museveni? Please, the international community, stop sponsoring our terror. Stop sponsoring our oppression. Stop being partners in crime. Thank you very much for going.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to invite a shining beacon of democracy, women leadership in general, struggle for a better East Africa, none other than Honorable Martha Karua. The leadership of the Mayor Coalition, and leader of the Mass Coalition.
Asante sana. May I begin by asking that we observe a minute of silence for the victims of torture, many of whom you've spoken about before I arrived. Please, let's get on. Thank you very much. Get seated. The Honorable Isa Besige, the Honorable Sentamu Changulani, I hope I have said it properly, the very distinguished leaders whom I will not be able to mention individually, distinguished participants and survivors, and our host, the Kenya Human Rights Commission. What a wonderful day when we can come together as citizens of East Africa in solidarity with Ugandans, discussing issues that are dear to them, remembering the victims of torture, some of them departed, and those living with the disabilities and injuries they received, and also asking ourselves, what can we do to get ourselves out of these circumstances? I have heard you saying that Kenya is where you would want to be. Not exactly. Not all that glitters is gold. I think there is a recession of democracy all over the world, and Kenya is no exception. And that is why, in standing in solidarity with you, we remind ourselves that vigilance is the price of democracy. If we do not have vigilance, continuous, purposeful vigilance, even those who look like they're doing okay can lose what they have. I'm very horrified by what I have seen here, and I came at the end of it. And one of the things which must be asking ourselves as leaders as we depart today is, what can we do to help those who are still suffering with injuries that can be attended to? Because that is of urgent importance, and immediate attention must be given to that, even as we ask ourselves what we can do. Before you hear the stories of the survivors, our description of brave is wanting. What I have heard and seen here today is what describes bravery. And they are still standing tall, saying, Aluta, continue. They are still unapologetic about their defense of democracy and human rights. I had both Besige and Changulangu ask or call for unity. We cannot succeed in this fight without unity of purpose. Because united, we stand, but divided, we fall. And the oppressor always hopes to divide. The old colonial tactic of divide and rule is there even today. It divides people, the good and the bad. And today, citizens of our country, not just Uganda, but even Kenya, divide themselves unconsciously or consciously, the good and the bad. That you don't want to call out a regime that is eroding democracy and human rights. You don't want to call out brutes because you want to give them a chance. And I am here to say we should not give even a minute, even a second. We should give no chance to people who have no respect for democracy and human rights. And democracy means recognizing that whatever you are doing as a leader, you do in the name of the people. And if you are not doing it in the name of the people, then you are illegitimate. Because you have usurped a space that belongs to the people to oppress them instead of working for them. I kept on asking as we sat there, how can this happen? How can there be so much cruelty in a regime that prides itself to be working on behalf of the people? Because in East Africa, all our countries go through some sort of elections, whether sham or otherwise, and then they celebrate being elected. We don't have an army general. In Uganda, we have a president. In Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and all other East African countries, we have presidents who claim victory at elections. So if you're working for the people, how can you use the position given to you or you usurped from the people to commit the atrocities that we have seen? We can only answer that by promising ourselves to free our minds so that we can take back our power and act. And when you acquiesce dictatorship, either because you want to maintain your job as a civil servant, a government officer in a parastatal or wherever you are, because you want favor as a business person or as a citizen, you are exposing those who stand up for rights. Imagine a Uganda where 90% or even just 50% of the people are vocal about their human rights, refuse to be cowed. Imagine a Kenya where 50% of the people refuse to be cowed, or any other country. There would be no room for the atrocities that we have listened to today and we have witnessed through the media happening in Uganda and elsewhere. In Kenya, atrocities have happened. Maybe not to as many people currently, but if you remember our 2017 elections, an electoral officer was murdered. Murder was foul. We have had people killed, witnesses, ICC witnesses. It doesn't matter at what time human rights are violated, whether because of personal issues, elections, or any other issue. They all happen because a person feels threatened by the person they attack, or you want people to fear. Because what has happened to the brothers and sisters who talk here today is supposed to be a warning to others that this can happen to you. If a majority of us stand firm, we will help ourselves by creating safe space where we can agitate for our rights. So today, I'm talking not to the converted, because people in this room are already converted. They are already human rights defenders. I want to talk to citizens of East Africa, of Uganda, of Kenya, of Tanzania, of Rwanda, Burundi, of every East African country. And I want to say that it is your silence that is exposing the brave in our communities who get tortured, who get killed, and it is your silence, our collective silence, that is helping dictatorship thrive in East Africa and in our individual countries. And if you think we are safe or you are safe, whichever country you belong to, if we continue this way, we will be submerged by dictatorship and violation of human rights. We were brave enough to fight the colonialists. We must be brave enough to fight our fellow black oppressors. It is not the color, it is the action. international friends. People say, show me your friends, and I tell you who you are. Standing silent in the way of violation, grave violation of human rights, erosion of democracy, and rising dictatorship within the East African region is an act that tells us that our friends as East Africans are dwindling. That they see fire in our house and they are not coming to our rescue. And I want to repeat or to echo what was said by Besige and Changulanyi. The primary responsibility of wrestling the monster of dictatorship lies with us as residents of East Africa, lies with the people of Uganda, the people of Kenya, the people of Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi. And that is why we are standing up here today. But we want to be able to look and number our friends who really come to our aid. And there is no such a thing as standards of democracy, of human rights for the developing nation and for the developed nation. A human being is a human being in spite of their circumstances. So let us continue resisting. Let us continue preaching to our brothers and sisters that if we stand together, we will be able to overcome, because we will overcome. History is replete with examples. No dictator lives forever. And no oppressed people stays under oppression forever. The apartheid regime of South Africa, it had now settled almost as though it was a normal regime, a normal country among community of nations. But when the time came, it felt like a domino. The same with the Berlin Wall and with many other things. And I want to say to the community of nations and to us, dictatorship spreads beyond borders. In East Africa, let us refuse dictatorship. In whichever country, whether Museveni's, whether in Kenya, because in Kenya, I can see the making of a dictator. Yes. And dictators are made by citizens remaining silent. We have had in the recent few months cases being withdrawn, cases of fraud being withdrawn, rape, whatever murder, being withdrawn, where the suspects are people in power. We have seen land grabbing cases, affidavits being sworn, saying there was no land grabbing. How come all these cases are about people in power, not the ordinary people? Something is cooking in Kenya, and this is the making of dictatorship. I am here to stand in solidarity with Uganda, but to remind my fellow Kenyans that our silence will make a dictator worse than we have ever seen. Yes. I want to say that I will not be silent, inspired always by the lyrics of Juliani's song, Sister Simama Maovi ya Kitawala. As long as I have breath, I promise myself that I'll raise my voice whenever it is necessary. And that is why I am here to raise my voice in solidarity with Uganda, with solidarity, in solidarity with East Africa, and say also no to any form of oppression, lawlessness, and any form of state capture in Kenya, because it begins with the leaders thinking that they own the state. When we, the people, own the state, kindly let us make our individual and collective voices heard, and let us stand in solidarity with each other and say there is no room for dictatorship in East Africa. I thank you.
That marks the end of today's session. Remember, there are still many activities that are taking place here in Kenya. Uganda human rights after failing to do their job.
Nyinyi Waganda, hizo ni makofi mnaweza kupigia Honorable Martha Karua.
Thank you, Ugandans, for following us from different regions. Thank you for following us from different countries. Thank you for following us from different countries. We really love you so much. We don't take that for granted. It's a love that you've shown Ghetto TV family, the love that you've shown our President, His Excellency Robert Chagulanyi Ssentamu, the NUP leadership, all human rights defenders here in East Africa, our elders in the struggle. We really love you so much. You've heard testimonies from different people, from different political parties, mostly those from the National Unity Platform, those from different regions in Uganda, Western Uganda, Central Uganda, Northern Uganda, East Africa, sorry, Eastern Uganda. We really believe you.
Frank, Honorable Salam Musumba, Honorable Salam Musumba, who insists on being designated as chairman, not any other designation.
The unity and beautiful of this function united all the political parties from Uganda, of course headed by none other than national or the mighty national platform, FDC, DP,
Honorable Winnie Kiza,
CP, and other political parties in opposition, civil society. Some of them from Uganda. Here I've seen Sarah Bureto from civil society. Our friends in the media from all around Uganda. They are here. Our international media houses from different regions are here. And other friends from different. We shall be having different activities. Time is spent here. We shall be bringing all activities on these platforms, all our political struggle platforms. We have our different platforms in the press. We have different platforms.
Oriem Nyako from Human Rights Watch. Bole Roland from Amnesty International. The Free Kenya Movement, represented by their chair. Yeah, thank you. And now I'd like us one more time to appreciate all our leaders who spoke for the past hour or so. Please let's appreciate them again.
Just ask yourself, if you're Ugandan, can really happen in Uganda? What does it take to have this function?
So here's my request to all of you,
in our country, Uganda.
So that we time this up nicely, do not do just to this event
in one
if we do not end with a way
political
forward that
leaders
is coherent,
here, most of them,
that is robust, and that will
you
make this meeting
supporters
productive.
always.
So to help us have this discussion
The
on what
message from
we
the
should do
main
moving forward, would
Chief
like to
Guest
constitute a
Honorable
panel
Martha
that
Karua.
represents various
The message
fields
was
of
very
civil
clear.
society,
This will happen when they
not least
together.
NGOs,
Good
political
enough as
parties,
it has been
social
in Equatorial
movements, and
governments.
so on.
We have
And so, to that end, I'd
always
like to
fairly worked
welcome
together. Not until
Imam
they are
Imam
together
Kasozi,
and their countries have been liberated. Imam Kasozi,
Honorable Winnie Kiza, Sarah Perete, Oriem Nyeko, Honorable Salam Musumba, Reverend Sami Wainaina, apologies, Roland Bole, so a caution to these good people is that all of you here are the ones standing between these dear citizens and their lunch. So if you feel that they're speaking too much, please remind them that they're standing between you and your lunch. So make your submission crisp and to the point. We're going to use 25 minutes, hopefully we can do that, to answer a singular question. All of you are from different fields of civil society, so on. So your question should be about what your institution or like-minded institutions are going to do in pursuit of those solutions. We've had the complaints, we've seen what the situation looks like, and we now want to move towards solutions. Yeah, for the cameras, I think. Thank you, Boniface. And so in no particular order, I will roll a dice and start with Honorable Winnie Kiza. What should we do? We've listened to the people.
Thank you so much, moderator of the session. I'm Winnie Kiza, a member of the Alliance for National Transformation. And like many have said, we say people first, a new future. And when we say people first, a new future, it still brings us back to empowering the citizens and ensuring that they take back their power and use it for a better future. All of us here are looking at a better tomorrow, and like many speakers have said, indeed it would be bad manners of us not to rise and demand for accountability. Speakers have spoken about what happened in Kasese. You saw those who were the perpetrators of the killings in Kasese getting promotions. And up to now they are still celebrating and nobody can touch them. It's our duty not to remain silent. Because at the end of it all, it will not
end this
be
live, but we are still live on our
the
second platform.
brutality
Please keep
of the
here, we are still here.
perpetrators